Hey, what's up, dudes? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. Today we'll be going over my Chapter 22 killer predictions. As Chapter 22 will be an original character, we'll be trying to use our brains to kind of see which original killer could be next. There are tons of different killers that it could be, different original designs the devs could come up with, but there are some killers that have been teased recently in the archives and in the tomes that I think could be very, very likely for Chapter 22. But before we completely jump into it, I would like to ask you guys, if you are updated, informed, or entertained, please consider hitting the like button. It does help out the video tremendously with visibility, and it means a lot to me. And also, if you want more Dead by Daylight content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It does actually make a difference. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this one. So before we can completely talk about these predictions, I do have to get this out of the way first. One of the big things around Dead by Daylight has always been the statement that the devs made that they weren't going to do any animalistic killers. Of course, they kind of did that with Demogorgon, where he's kind of an animal and kind of not. He is a bipedal creature that is kind of humanoid shaped, so there are a few muddied things that you can get into here. What determines a monster? What determines an animal? I definitely don't think we'll ever see Cujo in the game, but this goes along with it. I think we will see something like a werewolf, and that's really where the theory comes in. I do think we could see in this game a bunch of original killers based on Universal Classic monsters. Now, of course, if they wanted to use a character specific like Dracula or the Wolfman or the Mummy or the Invisible Man, they'd of course have to go to Universal Pictures and get the rights for those characters. But for the most part, you can do a vampire character or a werewolf character and not run into any licensing issues. These other characters, the design in general is public domain, so they wouldn't have to worry about it. And the most interesting thing is it does seem like a vampire Dracula-esque original killer has already been teased in Dead by Daylight very recently. If you guys remember back in Tome 7 Forsaken, we actually had a vampire Dracula cutscene where the observer went into this realm, this place, and it was a big castle, and he comes upon a man drinking blood out of a flask. And this is a direct reference to Vlad the Impaler, with the helmet he's wearing and everything else. This character looks like he's directly designed from Vlad the Impaler, and of course, Vlad the Impaler is a person in history, so of course he's not copyrighted whatsoever. There are no rights to him. So I do think a vampire Dracula-esque killer could be very, very likely for Chapter 22, especially with a tease as direct as this. The Blight was actually teased a long time before he actually released in Dead by Daylight from the archives, from the tomes in video form. But that's not the only killer-esque character that kinda was teased in Tome 7. If you guys remember the Tier 70 ultra rare charm, the Blood Moon, that is also a direct reference to a werewolf. A werewolf only comes out in a full moon or a blood moon. That is what causes the transformation from man to werewolf. Now, while the werewolf tease isn't blatant and in your face, I do think this is a tease. I think we will eventually see a lot of these universal monsters come to Dead by Daylight. A mummy character, Dracula, a werewolf, everything that you can think of that they could do an original spin on without having to worry about license issues. I definitely think we could see these universal killers in this game as original designs. Personally, I would like to see the creature from the Black Lagoon, but that's honestly just me. But these other two killers have been teased in the game very recently. Now, Chapter 22 will be coming out in November, and as far as we know, it will include a killer and a survivor, and I definitely think one of these two killers could be very likely. Both of these killers have been asked for a very long time. Of course, you don't run into the whole animal issue when it comes to a character like Dracula or a vampire in general, unless you wanted to have his power have something to do with a bat form, but there's a lot of indoor maps on this game, so I don't think that would work very well. I think the problem really lies with the werewolf, but since the Demogorgon is a character that exists in the game, I don't really think we have to worry about that. Now, I couldn't find anything about the devs talking directly about a werewolf or a vampire killer, but then again, usually that is par for course. They like to keep their original killers very secretive and on the down low until they're actually released, which is why there's usually not a big tease season like there was for the Hellraiser chapter when it comes to an original chapter. So we might not actually know what this character is until Chapter 22 is about to release. Of course, we'll probably have information in the form of leaks coming out over the next month or two, and we'll learn a little bit more about it, but we definitely probably won't even come close to the identity of this killer until it's about time for the release of the chapter. But hopefully the Hellraiser teases is something that they keep doing with the characters, original or licensed, as time goes on, because that was a really really fun event, but we'll just have to really wait and see. As far as community support goes for these two characters, there's been community support for these characters since the game was released, basically. There's been people requesting these two characters since the game was released. People want a werewolf in this game, and people want a vampire in this game, and I do think the devs know that. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you think it could be a werewolf or a vampire for the next chapter? Did you know about these teases prior to this video? Let me know that in the comments down below. But that's gonna do it for me, dudes. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. My name is Tootin. I've been your host, and I'll see you dudes next time. Peace out.